Hello everyone and welcome back to Resume U. My name is Courtney and in today's video, we're going to go through how to write and craft your bullet point descriptions. So we're going to go through the grammar, the formatting, as well as how to tailor your resume to the job you're applying for. We're going to go through all that information today. So be sure to stick to the end as well as hit that subscribe button as we're posting weekly here all updates on resume building and tips for you, as well as follow us on LinkedIn where we will post our articles as well. So be sure to follow that content there. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the idea behind bullet points is to really provide the recruiter a summary of what you accomplished during your tenure at your job or internship. Just giving a 3 to 4 sentence overview of your time at this certain job. And it's definitely a big task if you were there for an extensive period of time. But again, you're not limited to just 3 to 4 bullet points. You can definitely go longer, but make sure it doesn't extend too far. So with that, if you are struggling to figure out what exactly you would like to put down, I want you to think about these 4 questions. Did you grow anything? Did you help with certain growth? If you were part of a social media team, did you grow the follower count? Did you grow awareness? How much? If you can provide data points, that is great. So think about growth. Were you a part of a campaign that accomplished anything? Did you get any accomplishments done? Think about that. 3. Did you manage anything? Did you lead a project? Did you lead a campaign? Did you lead an event? Any leadership or management skills? That can definitely be highlighted as well. 4. Daily task, anything you've done on a daily basis. So with that, growth, accomplishments, leadership, and daily task. Think about that when you are trying to figure out what bullet points you want to accomplish. When you're crafting your bullet points, I want you to think of those 4 questions but I want you to also find ways to tailor your bullet points to the job you're applying for. What do you mean by that, Courtney? Let me explain. So we're going to take a job description, pull out some keywords. So if you see some verbiage or any keywords that are familiar to you or apply to the jobs that you have, try to pull those out of the job descriptions and place those in your bullet points. So if it's, like I said, a certain verb, if there was managed in that job description and you managed something in any of your experience, place that there. If there is a certain program that they used that's in the job description, try to tailor that into your bullet point descriptions. So really finding those certain keywords that stick out to you and try to put those in your bullet point descriptions. Really tailoring it to the job you're applying for. Now I know it can get very tedious having to do it for every job, but to get through those applicant tracking systems, which look for those keywords, that is what you have to do. The next section we're going to go through is grammar. So this section requires a lot of writing and a lot of thinking. So sometimes grammar can slip through the cracks. So I'm going to highlight some of the more important tips to think about when you're structuring your bullet points. So first things first, make sure you're starting with an action verb. So I'm gonna go down the list here of some action verbs. So these are, again, just more powerful verbiage. Again, back to when I was saying about tailoring your job description. If there is a verb that works, that applies to any of your jobs, you can use that there. But also, you just want to make sure every single one starts with an action verb and make sure it's written out in a complete sentence where if you were to put a subject and it reads aloud correctly, then you've written it very well. Next, do not put a period at the end of your bullet point descriptions. It's just resume formatting doesn't require that. So you do not need a period. Next, do not start with responsible for. That is not a verb, that is an adjective. So it is incorrect. Make sure to start with a verb. Lastly, regarding verbs, make sure you are writing in the correct verb tense. So make sure it's either present or past. So if you are in a current job, write in the present tense. And if it's a past job, write in the past tense. That is something that can slip through the cracks so easily, especially if you're just writing past experience mostly and then you are in a current job and you just keep writing in past tense, it can slip through the cracks. So just remember to watch out for the verb tenses there. Okay, so the last note I'm going to leave you guys with is just a bit more about how you can write your bullet point description. So you want to be specific, but then you don't want to be too brief and you don't want to be too elaborative. So what do you mean by that, Courtney? Well, let me explain. So when you're being specific, if you can quantify any of your task, or if you can quantify anything that you accomplished during your tenure at your job. So if you grew a social media following, if you managed a team, if you wrote a certain amount of articles every week, or whatever, if you can add a number to it, definitely make sure to be specific on that realm. If you reported to a certain person or wrote to a certain person, you can definitely be specific there too. Think about those little details. When I say too brief, do not just have your bullet point be less than 4 words. You definitely, that's where the specific part comes in. You want to make sure that it actually provides more information for the recruiter. So managed a team. That definitely doesn't really tell me anything, excuse me, that doesn't tell me anything. So be sure you're specific regarding that. Managed a team of 7. And then continue to explain a bit more. But then leads me to my next point. Don't elaborate too much where you are extending to a third line. So be sure you keep your bullet points to under a second line. If a word goes over there, if your sentence completely ends on the second line, that's okay. If you go to a third line, it looks a bit too clunky. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping that under 2 lines. And that is a wrap for today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here at Resume U and going with us through the resume building journey. I know it's so much information to take in, but you guys are doing so well. So thank you guys so much. Next week, we're going to be actually reviewing and going through a resume and commenting on where improvements can be made. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and tune in with us next week as we post that video as well. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.